Let's go! The boys are back! At the time of writing, the second Flame event in Duel Links just wrapped up, bringing him back after his gruesome fate in VRAINS. As such, I figured there would be no better time than now to cover all of Soulburner's Salamangreat skills, now that Flame has brought some of his own. But this wouldn't be a Soulburner focused episode if I didn't show off his signature skill from the VRAINS anime first, Burning Draw! Unlike the show version, the in-game counterpart has several restrictions. You need to be playing at least 10 Salamangreat monsters in your main deck, it can only be used from the 5th turn onwards, and only if your life points are at 2300 or lower. Get it? Because that's Heatleo's attack stat. On activation, your life points drop immediately to 100, and you draw a card for every 1000 life points you paid. This would be cool if it wasn't so specific and didn't take so long to charge. The game will probably be over before you get to 5 turns, as you probably burned out your resources long before then. If instead you want a skill that ignites your game from literally turn 0, try a Burning Roar. In addition to your regular deck list, you will gain a copy of Salamangreat's Heatleo and Sunlight Wolf in your extra deck at the start of the duel. As well, each turn you can increase the attack of all monsters you control by 100 for each monster you control. Though each of these effects require that your starting deck includes at least 10 Salamangreat cards, though your extra deck does count here. Now, if you watched my old videos, this effect may sound familiar. This is just a salad-flavored Ties That Bind. The reason for this is actually very funny. See, on occasion, it's found that a certain anime deck works way better with the skill that isn't on the character the deck belongs to in the show. Joe Konami doesn't tend to like that, so they will make an objectively better version of the skill for that deck on the character it belongs to, so people will play it on the correct character. You would think the devs would learn their lesson, but this isn't even the last time this setup would happen. Sure, doubling up on issues, eh, Konami? Guess they just need a double transcendence. In order to use this, you must first have Reincarnation Link summoned a monster that duel. By the way, Reincarnation Link summon means using a monster as a link material for another copy of itself, therefore incurring a bonus effect. Salamangreat's entire identity is built around doing this constantly. You can return a Salamangreat spell or trap card in your hand to your deck, then generate a copy of Salamangreat Transcendence in your hand. All Link monsters in your graveyard are then returned to your extra deck for further reincarnating, which you will probably be doing in short order, as Salamangreat Transcendence is a quick play spell that lets you immediately Reincarnation Link summon. You can use this for cheaper reincarnations on your turn, as Sanctuary's effect to allow a Link monster to be used as the entire material for another copy of itself is only once per turn. Or you can reincarnate on the opponent's turn, which is useful since one of the Salad Links nukes the board when you reincarnate it. Very funny. Would recommend. If it existed! See, the site I do my primary research on, Duel Links Meta, is normally very accurate with its information. However, they list Soulburner as having the skill Double Transcendence, which I did not realize was not actually in the game until I went to collect footage. I've stumbled onto a major Duel Links conspiracy, Flame. So I go down to the skill office and I say, "Hey, Joe Konami, where is Double Transcendence?" And what do I find out? Not only is there no Double Transcendence, there is no Joe Konami in the skill office. Half the systems in this game are missing. This app is a complete ghost town. You hear that, Flame? Flame? Okay, so before we move on, remember to click those YouTube buttons. Now then, it's time to turn up the heat. Wrapping up the Soulburner exclusive skills for now is Link Fire Rays. This effect should also sound familiar if you have watched my previous videos, as I have talked about similar skills in some of those. If you have a Fire Link monster in your extra deck, you start the duel with 1500 more life points. In addition, you can increase the attack of a monster you control by 300 once per turn, and by 500 additional points you can have both a Fire and a Link monster in your graveyard. Very nice, surprised this isn't given out to other characters, though I guess I can't think of anyone else that uses both Fire and Link monsters. The skill Phoenix Rising has become a recent fan favorite. It is exclusive to Soulburner and Joey Wheeler and prevents you from summoning anything but level 4 Geminis, Fire Warriors that are not level 4, and Xyz or Link monsters. That sure is a restriction, but it's all to balance out the sheer advantage they have to hand out to make the Gemini mechanic function. To start on the simple portion of the effect, if your opponent controls a card, you can generate a copy of Double Summon and Gemini Spark in your hand. Double Summon is a normal spell that does exactly what it says, lets you summon again. Gemini Spark is a quick play spell that trades a level 4 Gemini on your field. Oh, so that's why the restriction is like that. for a pop of a card and a draw. It's a pretty good piece of interaction, especially when cards like Double Summon give you extra loose monsters to cash in. But that's just the bonus for going second. The main effect is activated by revealing a Gemini monster or the trapped Gemini Ablation in your hand. You generate a copy of the equipped spell Phoenix Gearblade in your graveyard and put a copy of Gemini Ablation from your hand or deck face up on your field. If you went minus by playing Ablation from your hand, you can search a free Gemini or Fire Warrior monster as recompense. Gearblade's mainly relevant effect is that it recycles itself when banished or sent to the graveyard as cost, and Ablation summons Geminis from deck and also turns them into removal. So basically, instant setup for your gear freed of choice, and an infinite resource loop of Geminis. This is nuts. Finally, I can play Goggle Golem in the most optimal form possible. Okay, that last one was a lot, so I think I'll make this next skill fairly simple. Avaricious Connection can be used twice per duel and returns 3 monsters from your graveyard or banishment into the deck to draw a card, as long as at least one of the monsters is a Cyberse type. You ever hear of Pot of Avarice? This is that, but on a skill and cheaper. Very nice and simple, but also good. Now this is where the fun begins. See, the way Duel Links added Flame to the game, despite Soulburner already being available, is by introducing the alt style mechanic. This is a toggle that allows a character to switch to a different set of voice lines and sprites to reflect a different design they may have taken in the show. These styles also come with their own skills that can only be used while in that style. The first of these is Awakened Reincarnation Power, which automatically adds 2 Salamangreat Pyro Phoenix to your extra deck. That's the one that explodes everything when it's reincarnated. Additionally, if your life points reach 3,000 or lower, you can rig your draw for your next turn to be a random Fire Cyberse monster in your deck. This skill is very handy if you need to play Phoenix but can't shell out the gems for 2 copies to properly reincarnate, which is fair, otherwise there are better skills. Such as Ignis Soul, which requires that your main deck have at least 6 Fire Cyberse monsters in it. It prevents you from losing the first time your life points would drop to 0, instead setting you to 1 life point. Then, if you only have 1 life point, you can boost the attack of a Link 3 or higher Salamangreat monster you control by 1,000 for a turn. Remember me mentioning archetypal skills that are just better versions of generic skills? This is Grit, which does exactly what the first effect says, but is on much more characters. If you like Sturdy from Pokemon, you will love this, and if you don't like it, then don't try punching me about it. I'll just wind up on 1 HP, which will get you nowhere. Soul Burning Link prevents you from special summoning anything but salads and extra deck monsters. Also, you can only use a Link 4 monster as material once during the opponent's turn to prevent Phoenix from exploding too much. During your turn, you can discard 2 cards, then replace them with freshly generated copies of Salamangreat of Fire and Salamangreat Burning Shell. Those are a normal summon that searches and a quick play spell that can link summon after summoning a monster from your hand, respectively. Also, you just get 3 copies of Balinx and Sunlight Wolf, because Salamangreat can do nothing without 15 extra deck slots. Finally, if your opponent controlled a card when you activated the skill, you can also search or set a Salamangreat monster from your deck. Ragin' Cajun, that's a lot of card advantage. Am I allowed to have that? While other skills might get you more cards in a grind game, the raw advantage turn 1 from this skill is insane. Plus you get to play the cutesy Salamangreat of Fire. Look at him, he's doing a cool pose. I love him and want plushies. And now for the most recent skill from the Flame event rerun, which is surprisingly not exclusive to the Flame alt style. Remember how I said Burning Draw kind of sucked? Well, here is Burning Awakening, which is better than Burning Draw in every single way. First, it gives you 2 copies of each Link 1, 2, and 3 Salamangreat monster you are already playing in your extra deck, which means you don't need to waste space on those extra copies in your actual extra deck. You're locked into Fire Cyberse monsters unless you're summoning stuff from the extra deck, but who cares? Especially since from turn 2 of the duel onwards, you can drop your life points from any amount to 100, then draw a card. If you play it from turn 4 and onwards, you can instead draw a card for every 1,000 life points you paid. Enjoy burning up your own life points for card advantage. Remember, the only life point that actually matters is the last one. And I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I hope to see you next time. It's a topic I've been thinking about for some time now, so I'm hoping you find it as interesting as I do. Until then, goodbye.